Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. We have some news, some more news, some newsy news. Grand Cathay have got a new arcane journal because they don't have enough rules. Yeah, so this is coming soon. This is a Sunday preview. There's some other stuff that I've not talked about. So you've got a 48-page supplement, right? It contains rules for the Jade Fleet Army of Infantry, a Cathayan force led by Miao Ying and supplemented by Empire mercenaries, as well as rules for new magic items. A War in the Westland section contains terrain generation rules for the Wastelands and Shadowlands, which you'll use for fun games, but nobody will use. Plus multiplayer games on how to link 3 new scenarios into a campaign with guidance for taking narrative further. That's all cool, fluffy stuff for anybody who wants to play that. I don't think that'll move the needle in terms of... Now, this is another arcane journal for just Cathay, basically. So, Games Workshop, and again, screw those guys, but for this as well as the whole Cathay thing. So, rather than releasing one big book to sort of... Do you know what they could have done? They could have, like, really built up Cathay, got everything ready to launch on one day, like, including this stuff. They did preview Miao Ying to be released with the previous releases, but she wasn't. They just previewed her and never released her alongside the stuff. The stuff in the battalion is now going to be available separately, shortly, including this transfer sheet. By the way, the modern transfers from Games Workshop, I don't know what they did, but about 4 or 5 years ago, they just got amazing, and they continue to be amazing. This is lovely. Like, absolutely fantastic. I love the banners. Like, they're just great. Oh, and the Praeton's coming out finally. This old, Forge World monstrosity. It is a monstrosity, but actually, once painted, I saw somebody do a really good job where they did... the details aren't great on the beast, but if you're quite clever with like flocking certain areas and making it a bit more fluffy, then that looks really good actually. If you're just a bit careful, like on the exposed big muscles here, because you can see the sculptor's fingerprints on the sculpt. So like in places, I think it looks like it was that shoulder, but I know there's definitely a fingerprint somewhere on this model. I say definitely. I'm 90% certain there's a fingerprint on that model somewhere. So, yeah, but just think flock. I've seen some really good effects with flock, and like you get like not the short flock. You don't want to make it look like a Sylvanian family, but a bit longer than that. But then if you like spray it black and then highlight dry brush the ends with like red or something, it just adds a bit of a texture or color pop. But yeah. Here's the banners. I think that's actually with the actual. Is that raised or is that a transfer? I don't know. It looks like it's raised, but I wonder if you could fit. I wonder if those actually fit on the banners. I so hope they do. But like this kind of textural thing, it's actually difficult to get transfers on. But actually, if you can manage it, then it looks cool. Anyway, back to this. So we've got a new arcane journal. So what they could have done is done like a big release. Put those two. What they instead have done is they released Cathay a month and a bit ago, and now they want more money to play Cathay. And so what they're doing is they're releasing this Jade Fleet, which is going to be better than the Cathay stuff, which is already too good. And they just want more money, basically, for Cathay. And then they're finally releasing this model, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit cynical. And to be honest, the whole thing just feels very cynical. The whole release, the whole Cathay thing, how they've done it. It's a very cynical release. It's designed to maximise profit. It's not there for the good of the game, and they don't care about you. Confirmation point 2. This is GW's manifesto again. We don't care about our existing player base. I just find it absolutely baffling. because like so many people like support it and love this hobby, and like I guess part of that is that there's it's. I was talking to Pash and Goody about like rankings and stuff, and like we were talking about tournaments like not feeling very diverse because like you go into these tournaments and it's like I always say ironically, oh, it's a real sea of diversity here, isn't it? Because like it's all white blokes around about mid-30s. Typically there might be some younger white blokes, but occasionally you get a black bloke, and very occasionally you get a woman at tournaments. But the point I'd make though is that is a bit of a joke, but it's also weirdly slightly true because it is a sea of generally neurodivergence where people know what they like, and you know what I mean. They're probably it's a sea of neurospiciness at least, and that then kind of so it's Games Workshop is essentially they've got like this captive audience of people who kind of obsessively do the same thing over and over again, and they've got no real competition, so they've got wide moats, and so they can do shit like this. And it's I just wish occasionally that they were a bit more responsible in terms of like looking after the people who give them all their money, because yeah, they make the product and yeah, they sell it, but also you've kind of got a bit of duty of care towards your customers, and these are not just normal customers buying plastic war dollies, right? These are, in some cases quite vulnerable people who, I think are being mistreated a little bit by GW. So I wish that they'd acknowledge that at some point. They seem to be going like all ESG and all the rest elsewhere, apart from when it comes to their customers. They'll rip them off and and grape them for as much money as possible, but like when it comes to but that doesn't count for ESG. But it's really weird. But then again, the modern world is really weird in that you got massive corporations who say they care about things and then their actions say that they don't. Or they sort of pretend to care about things in a certain area, but then like if you look at the overall business practice, and they obviously don't. Corporations are by law psychopaths. They care about their own existence, and that's how they work. So if you were to sort of anthropomorphize any corporation, which I'd argue you probably shouldn't, but if you were to do so, you quite soon you quite quickly conclude that it's that personhood associated with that particular business is deeply unpleasant, quite narcissistic, potentially psychopathic. And that would be the same is true of most organisations. That they're legally obligated to act in their own interest and only in their own interests. So that's where this whole ESG thing becomes slightly interesting, because you're legally obligating them to pretend like they're acting in other people's interests, whilst also not removing the legal obligation to act only in their own best interest. You're just trying to make it legally in their own best interest to act in other people's interests, sort of. But anyway. Why am I talking about that? That was a sort of a 5-minute lecture on business ethics. Anyway, yeah, Games Workshop are not unusual as companies, and they are. This feels like another very cynical release. This and it just mentions the Jade Fleet army. So is this an arcane journal for a new Cathay, just one new Cathay subfaction? Like, so we're going to have a new force organisation chart and that's it? Really? Now, one thing I don't want to be true, but I fear might be true, is that you can take Celestial Dragon Guard for all of your infantry for an extra point. Or maybe they've realised that the rules for Miao Ying are slightly broken, and so they've changed Celestial Dragon Guard, so now they're a separate choice, and they're appropriately pointed at something like, I don't know, 12 or 13 points at the very fucking least. But, maybe, maybe not. I do think 8 is a bit cheap for these, because they are more elite than Empire. You know, they've got better armor than Empire, for instance. But you know, whatever. I don't know. Maybe within this thing, there's a few fixes for some of the things that are broken. I don't know. I doubt it. Then also, we've got them selling Cathay with this. What's this? That's a Jade Sentinel, apparently. It looks remarkably white for a Jade Sentinel, but anyway, that's that. Then somebody's done that. Okay. Somebody's trying to show you how to do batch paintings, and they've gone for like I can see what they're going for. They've gone for like if you look at a bit of ancient. Ooh. Is it Han Dynasty? What am I looking for? I'm trying to find these. It's not that. Is it Qin Dynasty? Was it Qin Dynasty? Yeah, this kind of stuff. You know, you can see what they're going for, but like, yeah, terracotta army, this kind of like faded pastely, that's the sort of colour scheme he's going for. I think that's what he's trying to emulate. So I can see that, and I like that in the writing as well. That's pretty cool. But I don't know. So yeah, is that the transfer? That is the transfer, isn't it? I think with the banner, the transfer was also a challenge. Yeah, he had a bit of an error with that, but yeah, I bet those big transfers are a challenge, but they do look really good. There's a Granite Sentinel here where he's sort of flecked it with some stuff for some reason, and then some other stuff. But I'm not going to get one. So anyway, there's trying to sell that. Tomb Kings have got like, I know this is a bit of a while ago now, about a month ago. These are cool. These are actually nice models. Like, finally, we've got some nice Tomb King models like that actually kind of fit the setting and like feel really cool. So I'm quite happy with that. And we've got a new Arcane Journal coming, which is pretty cool. But that seems to be you find rules for mounts for Kemrian characters, apparently. The incantations of the Mortuary Cult. So the Mortuary Cult are getting their own spell lore, basically. Dwarven Slayers, Border Princes, and various armies of infantry. Yeah, so this one is just the Jade Fleet, which is an alliance between the Grand Cathay and the people of Westerland, which is basically the Empire. So I suspect that you're going to have more Celestial Dragon Warriors, but they'll be like special or whatever. And then you're going to have some Empire troops as like your core. And then, you know, maybe a mix of, I don't know what they're going to do with artillery. But yeah, we'll wait and see what's going to happen. This one looks, the War of Cetra's Fury looks pretty cool because it might have a lot of content in it that expands the meta. This one looks like another Cathay are broken sort of sub-faction thing. You know, especially if they give Cathay like proper. In fact, Cathay don't really need like proper light cavalry because they've got balloons who function on the tabletop like light cavalry and are better than all other light cavalry. So, you know, they just kind of get in the way but do a lot of range damage. So I don't know what can make Cathay more broken, to be honest. But I'm sure whatever it is, it'll be in here. Anyway, that's the previews and stuff. I know it's been a bit of a short video, but there's not a lot, you know, to talk about other than the meta about the old world at the moment. Not really. Why did I go to downloads? I want to go to news just to see if there's anything that I've missed. No, there's nothing that I missed. In fact, that Sunday preview isn't even, they haven't even linked it to the Old World page yet. So that's this is it. So I hope any I don't know why I clapped, it annoys the microphone. Then I think it shorts out for a bit. Yeah, if any comments, anything down, you put a comment down below. I do respond to all of them. It would be it's nice to have a bit of a chat. Tell me what you think your predictions are for Grand Cathay. Anybody got a nickname for Cathay that describes their brokenness? Like, I don't know. I can't really think of anything. You know, it's got like cat in it, so I'm thinking along the lines of something to do with cats, but like I can't really, I can't really think of anything other than something related to Puss Puss or something like that. Which I'm trying to find a nickname, a childish nickname to call Cathay to denigrate them. Anybody got one of those? Anybody got any opinions on Cathay, or what do you think we need to do to Cathay to fix them? Is it just increase the points across the board and make them super elite? But then does that really feel like Cathay? Because with Cathay, like, you really want like mass ranks of, you want them to be about as good as Empire, really, but with a few extra like wizardy bits, like a bit more. But you want them to feel about as good as Empire, just a bit more standardized. Like Empire's got wide variety, but also it's always got this core of big units of men and other stuff around it. And you kind of want the same for Cathay, because that's also how they function on Total War. So you kind of want it to feel a bit like that, and you want it to feel a bit like how it did in Total War. And one of the cool things about them are the bloody crossbowmen and the handgunners and the pavises and all that kind of stuff that is totally missing from Cathay because they didn't do those models, which are some of the coolest bits about the Total War stuff. So, and Miao Ying and Hang Bo and Bao, whatever his name is, all the other Dragon Emperors. Anyway, I rabbited on for long enough. This is only supposed to be a short video talking about this. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's coming up? Anyway, like, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, and I'll catch you again soon. Toodaloo.